next time you're making mashed or baked potatoes at home, why not make a little bit extra? That way the next day you'll have these great leftovers so you can make little light heavenly pillows of gnocchi. I've started by heating up the potatoes, and I want to do that for two primary reasons. I want them pliable, so the heat helps with that. And number two, I want to dry them out, because the drier they are, the less sticky your dough is going to be. Now I've made a well with the potatoes. I'm just going to sprinkle over about 1 cup of the flour on the top. And then I'm going to add, I want to add the salt, so salt goes in the middle there. And finally, just 1 large egg. And then I'm just going to mix up that egg and slowly mix in the surrounding flour and the potato. See how that's nice and sticky? Then you can take out the fork, and now the fun begins. This is very hands-on. Very gently, kind of fold the dough over on top of itself. And by the way, this is gonna get really sticky. Now take a look at the dough. See, it's still sticking to the countertop too much, so I need to add a little bit more flour. So this is where the extra flour comes in, and I'm gonna sprinkle it over the top, maybe about 1/4 cup at a time. And you just add flour until the dough is no longer sticky. And the more flour you add, the tougher the gnocchi becomes. So just use your best judgment. I trust you. You know what? My hands are pretty potatoey, so I'm gonna go ahead and wash them. Take your dough, kind of pat it out to a little cake there. And then I'm just gonna cut this into 6 wedges with my pastry scraper. We'll set 5 of those aside and start rolling this out. So you kind of roll it into a ball. And now we're gonna just roll it out, and you want it to be even. You don't want it to be super skinny in some parts and super fat in others, because then it won't cook very evenly. Now, if for any reason your dough were to stick at this point in time, you can add a little bit of flour. And I want it about 1/2 inch in circumference. Perfect. Just gonna cut off little pieces, and I would probably go maybe about 1/2 inch. There we go. Now, I like to leave them just like this, but if you are a perfectionist, kind of roll it into a cylindrical shape and then just roll it down the tines of a fork, and it's gonna leave little indentations. That is really great if you're doing them in tomato sauce, because then the tomato sauce has places to rest. But since I'm not doing a tomato sauce today, I'm just gonna leave them as is. Gnocchis are ready to go in the pot. So I've got some boiling salted water going, as well as an ice bath, because these need to cool off once they've come out of the pan, otherwise they'll overcook. So all you have to do, water's boiling, just drop these in one at a time, and I probably add about 30 at a time. Don't overcrowd the pot or they're not gonna cook properly. There we go, that's perfect. So as soon as these come to the top, just lift them gently out and then into the ice bath. This immediately stops the cooking so the gnocchi don't overcook. When they overcook, they fall apart. Drain them really well and put them into a second bowl, and to make sure that they don't stick together, just drizzle them with a little bit of olive oil and then give them a shake. Perfect. Now it's time to make the sauce. I preheated a stainless steel pan over medium-high heat, and in goes some bacon. And let that crisp up and brown just a little bit. Now the shallots, the garlic, and a little bit of chili flake go in. There, that should be pretty good. Now we're gonna sear the mushrooms. To do that, I'm gonna add them to the pan in a single, even layer. And then just toss and coat them with all those ingredients. And now don't touch them, just let them sear. Because there's plenty of airflow in the pan, these aren't going to steam and turn mushy. After about 30 seconds, go ahead and give them another toss. So far, they haven't released any liquid. That's perfect. And they're gonna start searing. When your mushrooms are searing, they squeak in the pan. That's right, they actually squeak when you toss them. So continue to sear them until they squeak. Oh, squeaking. See how those mushrooms are nice and brown? You'll also notice that I didn't add any salt. Salt actually brings out the water in the mushrooms and helps to contribute to that mushiness. Now I'm just gonna add my kale on top and let it cook for about 2 to 3 minutes until it's nice bright green. I want to deglaze the pan. I'm using a little bit of white wine, but if you don't want to use wine at home, that's totally okay. You can use water at this point in time. So now just let that cook until the liquid is reduced by half. Now's the point where I want to taste and season. I'm going to put this into a bowl and set it aside, and now I need to cook my gnocchi just briefly, heating them through in the pan. Just let those cook maybe about 30 seconds until they start to brown and they're nice and warm throughout. Now it's time to plate. Now I know it took a little while for these guys to cook and to get this dish to this stage, but trust me, once you take your first bite, all the hard work is going to pay off. So on top of the gnocchi, just pile up our vegetables, a little bit of our sauce. Oh, doesn't that look good? See, this is why I love cooking, because now I have a fabulous dish. It's gonna be so good for my Sunday night dinner. Perfect.